Hey, this is Noah from Perpetual Shelves. It's been a little bit, I don't post a lot, but I'm going to get straight to the point. This is a video covering my favorite books of 2025. It's been a pretty interesting year of reading. It started out, I had a job where I made my own schedule. So I used to kind of just, sometimes I would even put off work and just do a lot of reading. I was reading pretty strongly, probably a few books a month, 2 or 3 books a month. And then school started back up come August, and then it's actually kind of fallen off a little bit, to where I might only be reading. I don't know. It varies. Sometimes it takes me a month to read a 200-page book. Sometimes I read a 200-page book in 3 days. Um, it's been a pretty good reading year. I had a lot of. I'm going to experiment with the formatting, as you can tell. Usually I have my face, and I'm going to keep doing that. But I was like, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's go a little amateur hour with the favorite books of 2025 video. Great timing. But so yeah, I don't know. I don't track how many books I read. I don't track how many books I DNF. There is no theme to this video. There's some fiction, some nonfiction, some plays, some poetry, a little bit of everything. Oh, I forgot one book. Let me grab it real quick. It's actually two. I forgot 2 books. They were in my little bag that I take to work. So yeah. High five. Everybody did a good time. Everybody did a good year. So first off, I'm going to kick it off with Oakley Hall's Warlock. This is an NYRB book. It's been a while since I read it, so I'm a little rusty on the details, but I do remember it's a Western, but it's not like a spaghetti, let's have some fun Western. It's a lot more serious. There's some politics. There's a good amount of characters. I love the painting. There's a lot of characters, and you're kind of led to believe that a bunch of them can maybe be the main character, but at the very end, you learn who the main character is and the relationship between man and law and man and politics. It's not a super long book. I'm going to try to go through it. Hopefully, let me not knock the camera down. It's probably about 450 pages. Oakley Hall, I don't want to say is a one-hit wonder, but I haven't really heard of him much outside of this book. I know there's one about, actually, I don't remember. There's like a series of books that he has, and Warlock may or may not be a part of it. But yeah, if you're looking for a book to read and you're partial to like the Western theme, but a more literary theme, which I hate using that word because that sounds pretentious, but I feel like you know what I mean. If you've watched my channel, you know I'm not just like Mr. Literary Snob like some people can be. But yeah, very good book. Highly recommend. Next up, this is a work of poetry. This is Geography 3 by Elizabeth Bishop. Once again, I learned about Elizabeth Bishop I took a class on poetry, and it was strictly lectures. I didn't write any. It was a professor standing up in front of a PowerPoint and preaching about stuff. Very fun class, though. The professor is from Kentucky, super cool guy. Elizabeth Bishop, from what I remember, had kind of an interesting relationship with her parents. I think her mom had a lot of mental illness and struggled with that. This is early 20th century. And so she was just kind of away, for lack of a better term. And I don't think her dad was really in the picture, but I could be wrong. So she grew up in Nova Scotia and then lived in other places and kind of moved around a lot as a young lady. And a lot of the poems in her profile specifically are about home and like finding home and what home means to you and I and other people that are at home and around. Yeah, you got some good ones. One of my favorite poems in this book is The Moose. I believe the class I was taking, I believe the professor said it took her 20 years to write that poem. Another poem that's really worth your time, as I flip through it, hopefully this mic setup is not going to like have me blow up the mic. Hopefully this focuses. because I can tell it's not focusing right now. Is another good one is In the Waiting Room. I suggest read that poem. So yeah, I like the cover. Super dope cover. One of my favorite works of poetry. Poetry, in my opinion, you have to kind of take your time with. I've been reading this book on and off probably since March. I just like take it with me places and read it on my break at work. This is actually kind of cheating because I'm not technically done with it, but I have read a lot of it. And that is, more specifically, let me find it. It's like I have a book of a collections, or I butchered that sentence, but hold on, I gotta find it. Let me find it. There we go. It's going to be hard to see this, but it is Paradise Lost by John Milton. I have actually, this is like a really beat up copy I got from a used bookstore, but super dope. I mean, super beat up. It has like the old, like it recommends some poetry and some works from the Modern Library College edition. The book is like in real rough shape, but I don't care. I'm a college student myself, so I think this was like $5. Paradise Lost is really fun. So this is a spoiler for the rest of the list, low key, but I read a little bit of Frankenstein about a month ago and learned that Paradise Lost is kind of one of Mary Shelley's inspirations and foundations of the creature character, and so I've read books 1 through 5, and I really enjoy it. Sometimes I have no clue what's going on because there is a little bit of that language through time barrier. But I would recommend reading yourself some Paradise Lost. Once you get into like your flow state of reading it, it's a really good and enjoyable long poem, epic poem. I'm not going to sit here and act like a scholar about it. But because I don't really remember a whole lot, and I don't know a lot about John Milton, but I'm enjoying it, and thus it is one of my favorite books. I think I wrote books on the paper. That's embarrassing. Books of 2025. Another one I read that I really enjoyed. That is kind of a weird one. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a YouTube darling, but I feel like there's like a bro lit culture around this, and that is Confessions of a Mask by Yukio Mishima. And yes, that is duct tape holding together my book. Because I love this cover. It is kind of creepy, and it fell apart on me one day. I ordered this in acceptable condition from Thrift Books, and I opened it up, and it literally, I heard a split. I think this is, what is it called, like an I novel or one of those, I think it's I don't want to say it's specific to Japanese literature, but there's a lot of this in here that is like semi-autobiographical when it comes to Yukio Mishima. Just about his upbringing and how he was often sick. He had these kind of he kind of fetishized violence, which if you know a little bit about Yukio Mishima, that's not really surprising. That kind of checks out. Once again, creepy cover. I actually bought a second copy of this cover specifically just to give it to someone, and they probably think I'm a weirdo. But yeah, typical edition. You can't even tell that there's duct tape. Yeah, there's also, here it is. There you go. That's where it's falling apart. But I also recommend this. If you're into Japanese literature as a whole, you could probably read some Yukio Mishima and take some things from it. I had a weird phase where I for like 6 months, almost all I read was exclusively Japanese literature. I have a book of like Japanese plays and stuff, some Kobo Abe and things of that nature. I recommend delving into the history of all that. It's very interesting. There's some crazy stuff like a lot of history has, but if you're into Yukio Mishima as a person and a lot of his I don't know, he had a crazy life. Like, It's one of those books that I think about, but if you were like, what happened and, lead me A to B to C and tell me what happened, I don't think I could really tell you. But it's kind of just semi-autobiographical about how his upbringing was. And there's parts in this book where he dreams about another man and dreams about violence and gets aroused by the violence. It's a very interesting book. Another one I read that I actually have not finished, but it's super interesting. It's a nonfiction, and this is a big book. It is Meetings with Remarkable Manuscripts by Christopher de Hamel. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I'm gonna roll with it. We gonna rock with it. This is a book about, literally it says it, 12 journeys into the medieval world. It's about different manuscripts and how they've survived and how they were written and where they traveled. Because the cool thing about these manuscripts is, especially the St. Augustine Gospels. There it is. Where's it at? I'm trying to find the page where it shows it. A lot of them have traveled super far, and have exchanged hands, have been bought, things of that nature. This is a really cool story about this book, because I used to kind of use BookTube as a constant recommendation machine, and that's fun and all, but then I was I'm not reading stuff that I hear about from word of mouth or that I naturally want to read. I have fallen out of love with my own tastes, is how I felt. And so this is a book that I went to Barnes & Noble and with no guide, no list, no nothing, and I was I'm going to walk out of here with something. And went to the nonfiction, went to fiction, horror, poetry, sci-fi, fantasy. I went all over the store. I was there for an hour. And this one I kept thinking about. And I trusted my own intuition. And I love going to bookstores with that mindset these days. Is don't walk in with a list. Don't walk in with, try to kind of, it sounds cliche, but go in with a blank mind or an open mind. And if you peruse the whole store, go through every shelf. I don't care if it's a shelf about geography or fish or cats. Just go through every shelf. And then when you're done with your laps in the store, whatever books you're thinking about still, go for that. This was that book. And there's a lot of really cool paintings in this book too. There's a lot of illuminated manuscripts. The glare makes it where this looks awful, but it's super cool. Also, look up what's the font called? Rustic Capitals, I think is what it's called. Look that up. Yeah, good nonfiction if you're into medieval manuscripts, Canterbury Tales, St. Augustine Gospels, Morgan Beatus, things like that. I say a lot. I'm sorry. A book that I read for class that I really enjoyed, Beowulf, a dual language edition by Howell D. Chickering Jr. with a new afterword. Typical Beowulf. I super love this. Every time I read this poem, I get reminded of Elder Scrolls. Fun fact, in Skyrim, there is a place called High Hrothgar. In Beowulf, there is a king, Hrothgar. Super dope. I love Skyrim. I like books. I like Beowulf. You get one half is the Anglo-Saxon, one half is the modern day, normal 21st century, 2025 English. Or I think this is probably a couple years old. But you know what I mean. If you've read Beowulf, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to sit here and really go on about it. Medieval literature and Anglo-Saxon history was kind of a blind spot for me. So this, and then the Lays of Marie-Saint de France and Piers Plowman, Canterbury Tales, a lot of that has brought to light certain things. And now I walk around in my life and I play video games and I'm like, oh, medieval video game? Oh, that's from Piers Plowman. That's from Canterbury Tales. You know what I'm talking about? Another book of poetry that I've perused all year, and I really am loving is English Renaissance Poetry by John Williams. And yes, that is not the John, or yes, that is the John Williams of Stoner fame. Probably the book that people don't care about, because I feel like this is kind of one of those books that you don't read unless you're studying something. This is the same John Williams that did Butcher's Crossing, Stoner, Nothing But the Night, Augustus. This is just his collection, or not his. It's a collection of poems from the Renaissance, from English Renaissance. He collected them, selected by John Williams. You got John Donne, Sir Thomas Wyatt, Sir Philip Sidney, Astrophil and Stella. You got William Shakespeare in there. You got his sonnets. You got George Gascoigne. I don't even know if that's how you say that. Thomas Lord Vaux. You got the whole thing. John Skelton. Typical book. Typical English poet, or I almost said English poetry book. If you know about English Renaissance poetry, if you want to get into it, this is, I don't want to say academic because that sounds pretentious, but I think I feel like, so my professor of medieval literature had this book, and this is a wild take, but I'm guessing this book might actually be more academic leaning instead of more for like a casual read. But I would still recommend this if you're into the English Renaissance. It's shorter poems, so you're not going to be reading any Beowulf, any Paradise Lost. All these poems are probably a few pages long or less. So quit knocking on my door. My cats are knocking on this door, my closet door, and it's making a bunch of noises. So yeah, there you go. Hey. Next up, you got the Canterbury Tales, and guess what? Another beat up copy. This is my copy of the Canterbury Tales. The Penguin edition. It's like the Penguin Penguin Pocket Edition. Yes, I have the phrase moon milk on this book. I don't even remember why I wrote that, but it is on the book, and we're just going to roll with it. This book is super beat up. It's literally slanted. I don't know if that's like from sitting on the shelf wrong. This is a bio of Geoffrey Chaucer, and you flip it open, you got the Knight's Tale, the Miller's Tale. I don't get any extra bounty points for knowing about the Canterbury Tales. Here's the back. Canterbury Tales, if you really, the Canterbury Tales is interesting because the general prologue you could kind of see as possibly like an estate satire, with the way Chaucer arranges people. He doesn't arrange them from high class to low, low class to high. He kind of just throws them all out, and I think in the academic world that might be kind of leaning towards an estate satire type of move. Honestly, the Canterbury Tales is super funny. And so there's some serious messages in this, but if you want to have a good laugh, read stuff like The Pardoner's Tale. That is really funny for some reason. It's kind of critical of the church and the corruption. It's kind of, I don't want to say adjacent to Piers Plowman. My cat is doing all this crazy stuff. But it's similar to Piers Plowman in the fact that there's a lot of criticism of the church. But other than that, just an overall good read. I haven't made a video like this in a minute, and I feel like I'm being that guy who just throws a book up and is like, yeah, this is good, moving on. Yeah, this is bad, moving on. But I don't know, a lot of this stuff, like the last few things, I feel like have been pretty self-explanatory. But some of these books I haven't read in a while, and I'm like, oh crap, like I think about them, but if you ask me like plot points A to B, I'm not sure. This year I read the Sophocles Oedipus cycle, which is obviously Oedipus Rex, Oedipus at Colonus, and Antigone. I forget the dude's name, but the guy that doesn't have eyes and he's blind and he has like his little messenger guy. That was like super metal. That was super cool. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather right now. But overall, there's a lot of... I wish I remembered more Antigone. But Antigone was my favorite out of all three. Oedipus Rex, I actually read in community college, and I think it's I swear I feel like it's where the Oedipus complex comes from, because something about his mom and his dad, and I think he's like kind of has a thing for his mother, or he's just kind of like head over heels over her. I'm probably wrong, but Antigone and Esmene, my dear sister, overall just really cool. I need to reread it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little bit embarrassed right now because I'm trying to remember what happens. Because I'm kind of on the spot right now. But if you're into plays, into that old stuff, give it a shot. I think you'll love it. Next up, another medieval lit. You got Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by Simon Armitage. Or it's translated by him. It's not by him, if you know what I mean. The Pearl Poet himself. Alliterative style, kind of a Christmassy tale. There's a lot of green, red. King Arthur and Sir Gawain and his knights are all having a dinner. In walks in a dude that's green. Literally, he's green. And then he's like, hey, dude, hey, Sir Gawain or King Arthur or any of y'all, if I chop off your head, or if you chop off my head, I'm going to chop off yours. And they think he's, ha ha ha, we think he's being funny. And then he really does chop off his head. And then he's like, well, I'll meet you the Green Knight is like, hey, Sir Gawain, I'll meet you at the Green Chapel. And when I get there, I'm going to cut your head off. Little did they know at the end, the Green Knight is not who they thought he might be. Well, I don't know if that's a spoiler, but this is a really fun book. If you're into poetry, read it, especially this translation. I like this one. This is actually the only one I've read because I was going to try to compare it, but then I was like, wait. It's a very heavy alliterative style, which I'm kind of a sucker for some alliteration. Hopefully you know what that means. A lot of like the same letters repeat themselves line after line. A lot of the same sounds. If you're into poetry like I am, this is like super enjoyable, just the alliteration itself. Highly recommend. Let me get it off the screen. Next up, popular right now, you got Frankenstein. I picked up the 1818 text. I don't have a good reason why. I just was like, that's the older one. That's the first one. I'm going to do it. From what I know, the 1831 text, I guess is more mature. Mary Shelley's older. She can reflect and has maybe amended some things. This is a really recent read, actually, and I really enjoyed this. Embarrassing fun fact, I had never read Frankenstein before this, and if I did read Frankenstein, I don't remember it. Ooh, sorry. Typical, there's a lot of things you can get from this book. Feminism. It's kind of one of those stories that's blurs the line between who's the real monster, us being man, or the monster himself. My girlfriend, I got mad at my girlfriend because she kept calling the monster Frankenstein, and I was like, babe, Frankenstein's not the monster. Super cool book, honestly. And what's kind of funny was like, when I first got into this, I was like, wow, like I know this book is old, but I feel like she's throwing out some like big words, like words that I don't remember and words that I don't know. And I don't want to even say the writing itself is like, I don't know, I better watch out. But the writing is really, really good, and it carries me from line to line. But I wouldn't say it's like reading Proust or someone like that. It's very easy to read, very accessible. You're not going to sit there and double take lines. Oh, what did she mean by that? Wait, what is that? Like, it's not even really long-winded. But I feel like this is a book, I think it's about 200 pages. But this is a super easy read, honestly. And I don't mean that like, oh, I understand every part of this book right now. But super easy read, super enjoyable. Obviously, the movie just came out. If you're like a Jacob Elordi fan, you think he's hot. He's not in this book, but you can check it out. I kind of don't like the Netflix sticker, but this book was like $10.99 at Barnes & Noble. I'll probably gift this to a friend or make my girlfriend read it and then get another copy. But there you go. Last but not least, I don't have any more books really. This one's a little bit probably, I don't know, kind of obscure, but this is Old Jules by Mary Sandoz. So Old Jules, this is a nonfiction about her grandfather, I think. Let me look. Pioneer father. Okay, it's her father. They lived out on the plains in Nebraska. And it's kind of a story from Mary Sandoz's location of Jules Sandoz. I just butchered that. It's Mary Sandoz writing about her father, Old Jules. This is a really good book to read if you want to know about firsthand pioneer life in the late 19th, early 20th century, that kind of vibe. It's kind of like a character, character study. Maybe not by dictionary definition, but it's about her family, or Mary Sandoz's family, more specifically her father. Her father was not, in my opinion, her father was not a good man. He slapped the hell out of a baby because she was crying, and just kind of was one of those people who does nothing but work and nothing but work, and then does nothing else. So sorry, my cat was being bad. I swear they wait till I'm recording to just do like the dumbest shit. Like knock on doors, knock stuff over, want to jump on my desk for no reason. But yeah, if you're really into pioneer life, Nebraska, Old West, not the Old West like guns and cowboys, but Old West kind of like the actual geography and locations. This is a super good book. Not hard to read, easy prose, very kind of straightforward. It's kind of like a diary, not like in terms of dates and times, but yeah. You even have like little newspaper excerpts. I just saw one. Yeah, like this. Hard to read from probably the camera angle, but there you go. Very good book. And that's really it. That's the last one on here. Honorable mention. You got Wallace Stegner in the Continental Vision. A bunch of essays about Wallace Stegner and his work as a conservationist. I kind of had a little bit of a weird phase this year with Wallace Stegner. I don't know, something about him. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like I had a point this year where I was like, maybe I should read up on like how to be more sustainable conservation efforts. Be conscious of what I'm doing to the community around me. And I did a little bit of research. Wallace Stegner came up, and I kind of dove in. I've read his biography. I've read Angle of Repose. I want to read Big Rock Candy Mountain. Wallace Stegner, The Continental Vision. It's edited by Kurt Miney. I think that's how you say it. I actually wrote a letter to him. He is a biologist that I think works up in Wisconsin. Super cool guy. I don't know him personally. I wrote a letter, old-fashioned snail mail letter to him, and he works for, I think, a place called Center of Humans and Nature, and they have a really cool poetry collection, and it's like $100. I think it's 4 volumes for $100, but super cool idea. But that's it. Very low production value video, a little bit of fun. I have considered changing this channel, not away from a book channel, but maybe more into books, video games, and music channel. I was thinking, I had a joke, I had a shower thought, where I was like, what if I just change my channel name to Perpetual Media, not Perpetual Shelves? Because I don't know, like I've thought about just doing like, I've said this probably multiple videos in a row, but I've thought about doing this, kind of changing it into like a digital diary in a sense. One of my influences from that is the channel Also Pato. And I'll admit, I don't even watch their channels their videos a ton. I'm not a constant watcher. But if you go to that person's channel, shameless shout out, but if you go to that person's channel, if you go to Pato's channel, it's just like literally talking about what they love, like music, video games, books, it's everything. And honestly, that's something I would like to do. And I don't have a large following on here. I'm not trying to make it big. I'm going to school. I work for a reason. And sometimes I love reading, and I've always been an avid reader, but sometimes I just feel like I've boxed myself into that hole, or dug my grave, I guess. But yeah, just a little ramble at the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate, do your best at it. Be the best person you can. Have a positive impact on others, and have a good night.